saying, the Lord hath utterly separated me from his people.
You know, the Lord got it written all through his word.
That's right.
That, you know, this was about Israel as well as about the stranger. Now, he said, don't let the stranger say that the Lord have utterly separated me from his people. Look at what the Lord said about the stranger, though. Go ahead and read.
Neither let the eunuch say, behold, I am a dry tree.
Now, I want you to skip down to verse 6. Go ahead and read.
Also, the sons of the stranger that join themselves to the Lord, to serve him.
Now the son of the stranger that will join himself to the Lord to serve him. Go ahead and read.
And to love the name of the Lord.
Go ahead and read.
To be his servant.
To be his servants. Go ahead and read.
Everyone that keepeth the Sabbath from polluting it.
Well, the stranger got to keep the Sabbath too, haven't he?
That's right.
You know, 'cause, you hear people say, well, you know, the Sabbath, that's for Israel, and the first day of the week, that is for the stranger. But that's not what he's saying here. This is the Lord saying.
That's
what
right.
did he say? Thus said the Lord, right?
That's
He
right.
didn't say, thus said Isaiah. Thus said the Lord. You know, the stranger that will serve him, be his servant, that will keep the Sabbath from polluting it. Go ahead and read on.
And taketh hold of my covenant.
And taketh hold of the covenant. What is the covenant? The covenant is the 10 Commandments. Right. Go ahead and read on.
Even them will I bring to my holy mountain.
They say, even them will I bring to my holy mountain. Go ahead and read on.
And make them joyful in my house of prayer.
Wait a minute, but they got to keep the Sabbath from polluting it, right? They got to take on this covenant, and they got to keep their hands from doing any evil. Then the Lord said, I will bring them to my holy mountain. Go ahead and read.
Their burnt offerings and their sacrifices shall be accepted upon mine altar.
Go ahead and read.
For mine house shall be called a house of prayer for all people.
Uh-huh.
The Lord God, which gathered the outcasts of Israel, said.
Wait a minute. Now, he talked about gathering the outcasts of Israel in the 11th chapter, didn't he?
That's right.
Now, he said the Lord God that gathered the outcasts of Israel said. Go ahead and read on.
Yet will I gather others to him, beside those that I gathered unto him.
Now, he said, yet will I gather others beside those that are gathered to him. So now we're still dealing with the mortals here.
That's right.
You understand what I'm saying? You know, the immortals, they already been set straight before the Lord even got to the earth. Now we are dealing with the mortals here. You know, we're dealing with the stranger, and we are dealing with Israel as well. Because Israel going to be there in the land. The stranger going to be there in the land. Let's go over to Ezekiel. We're going to pick it up at verse 43. Ezekiel chapter 43 and verse 1. Ezekiel 43 and verse 1. 43 and 1. Okay, go ahead and read.
Afterward he brought me to the gate, even the gate that looketh toward the east.
Go ahead and read.
And behold, the glory of the God of Israel came from the way of the east. And his voice was like a noise of many waters.
Go ahead.
And the earth shined with his glory.
Wait a minute. He said the earth shined with the Lord's glory, didn't it?
That's right.
That meaning that the Lord is here then,
That's
isn't
right.
it?
That's right.
Now he said the earth shined with his glory. Go ahead and read on.
And it was according unto the appearance of the vision which I saw. Even according to the vision that I saw when I came to destroy the city.
Go ahead and read.
And the visions were like the visions that I saw by the river Chebar. And I fell upon my face.
Go ahead and read.
And the glory of the Lord came into the house by the way of the gate, whose prospect is toward the east.
Go ahead and read.
So the Spirit took me up and brought me into the inner court. And behold, the glory of the Lord filled the house.
Go ahead and read.
And I heard him speaking unto me out of the house. And the man stood by me. And he said unto me,
Go ahead.
Son of man, the place of my throne.
Now he said, Son of man, the place of my throne, he said, didn't he? Go ahead and read on.
And the place of the soles of my feet.
And the place of the soles of my feet. That means that the Lord is here. You understand what I'm saying? The place of his throne and the place of the soles of his feet. Go ahead and read.
Where I will dwell in the midst of the children of Israel forever.
Well, he said here, where I will dwell in the midst of the children of Israel forever. Go ahead and read on.
And my holy name shall the house of Israel no more defile.
Go ahead.
Neither they nor their kings by their whoredom, nor by their carcasses of their kings in their high places.
Go ahead and read.
And in their setting of their thresholds by my thresholds.
See what the Lord said, in the setting of their thresholds by my thresholds. Read some more.
And their posts by my posts.
Go ahead and read.
And the wall between me and them. They have even defiled my holy name by their abominations that they have committed.
Now let's go on into the 44th chapter, and we're going to read here a little bit about Levi, about the Levitical priesthood, because the Lord going to set that back in order as well. Let's pick it up at verse 12. Ezekiel 44, and pick it up at verse 12. I'm going to show you we're dealing with mortals here. 44 and verse 12. Go ahead and read.
Because they ministered unto them before their idols. And caused the house of Israel to fall into iniquity.
Go ahead and read.
Therefore have I lifted up my hand against them, said the Lord God, and they shall bear their iniquity.
Go ahead and read.
And they shall not come near unto me to do the office of a priest unto me.
Go ahead and read.
Nor to come near to any of my holy things in the most holy place. But they shall bear their shame and their abominations which they have committed.
Go ahead and read.
But I will make them keepers of the charge of the house, for all the service thereof, and for all that shall be done therein.
Go ahead and read.
But the priest, the Levites, the sons of Zadok, that kept the charge of my sanctuary when the children of Israel went astray from me, they shall come near to me to minister unto me. And they shall stand before me to offer unto me the fat and the blood, said the Lord God.
Keep reading.
They shall enter into my sanctuary. They shall come near to my table to minister unto me, and they shall keep my charge.
Now I want you to skip down to verse 20, because I just want you to understand that we are dealing with mortals here. Go ahead and read on.
Neither shall they shave their heads, nor suffer their locks to grow long.
Go ahead and read.
They shall only poll their heads.
Go ahead and read.
Neither shall any priest drink wine when they enter into the inner court.
Go ahead and read.
Neither shall they take for their wives a widow.
Wait a minute. He said, neither shall they take for wives their widow.
That's right.
You know this is mortals here, isn't it?
That's right.
Because immortals, they don't marry, neither will they be given in marriage.
Right.
So you're dealing with mortals here. That's what you're dealing with, right?
That's right.
Let's go over to 47 now, and we will pick it up at verse 21. So we got mortals and we have immortals. If the Lord is here, you got the immortals. You understand? They became immortals before the Lord feet even hit this earth. I'll say it again. Now, so now you got the mortals as well, don't you? Now, let's pick it up at, you got Israel and you got the stranger too. Pick it up at verse 21. Go ahead and read up.
In the first month, and in the 14th day of the month, you shall have the Passover, a feast of 7 days.
Wait a minute. What did I say?
Ezekiel
47.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Verse 21. Okay, go ahead and read.
So shall you divide this land unto you according to the tribes of Israel.
You know, the Lord is divvying up the land, because every tribe had their own plot. You understand what I'm saying? But now notice, he even included the stranger as well. Go ahead and read on.
And it shall come to pass that ye shall divide it by lot for an inheritance unto you.
Go ahead and read.
And to the strangers that sojourn among you.
See what it said? And it shall come to pass that ye shall divide it by lot for an inheritance, and even unto the stranger that sojourn among you. Go ahead and read on.
Which shall beget children among you.
That shall beget children among you. Go ahead and read.
And they shall be unto you as born in the country among the children of Israel. They shall have inheritance with you among the tribes of Israel.
So now we are dealing with mortals here, aren't we? That's right. What we are dealing with here. I just want everybody to understand that. Let's go over now to Zechariah chapter 2. And we're going to pick it up, because the Lord said he's going to dwell among Israel, didn't he? You know, he said that his throne, his threshold going to be by their threshold. And the place of his throne, where his feet is going to be, will be in the midst of Israel. Now, let's pick it up at Zechariah chapter 2, and we'll pick it up at verse 10, 2 and 10. Okay, go ahead and read.
Sing and rejoice, O daughter of Zion, for lo, I come, and I will dwell in the midst of thee, said the Lord.
Now he said he come and he's going to dwell in the midst of Israel. Go ahead and read on.
And many nations shall be joined to the Lord in that day.
See what they say? And many nations will be joined to the Lord in that day. Go ahead and read on.
And shall be my people.
And he said they will be his people. Why will they be his people? Because they have turned and they have served the Lord. They have become his servants. They have kept the Sabbath day from polluting it. They have taken on his covenant, and they have kept their hands from doing any evil. So now they have become his people. Go ahead and read on.
And I will dwell in the midst of thee.
See what it says? And I will dwell in the midst of thee. Go ahead and read on.
And thou shalt know that the Lord of hosts hath sent me unto thee.
Now, this is Jesus when you really get it, but we ain't going to deal with that today. Now, let's go to, now, so you got the immortals, don't you? And you have the mortals here, don't you?
That's right.
And the immortals will be reigning over the mortals. Let's go now to Genesis chapter 2, and we're going to pick it up at verse 7. Because the Lord been talking about this rest here happening.
That's right.
And I'm going to show you what this rest is really all about that the Lord been talking about here. We're going to start in Genesis chapter 2, and we're going to begin reading at verse 7. 2 and 7. Genesis 2 and verse 7. Okay, go ahead and read.
And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground.
Now, the Lord have gone all the way back to the beginning here. You understand what I'm saying? To the beginning of the, well, I won't say the beginning of the creation. I said the beginning of man. And man have been around some 6,000 years. Somewhere around 6,000 years. Now, he formed man of the dust of the ground. This was the first man that he set on earth. Go ahead and read on.
And breathed into his nostrils the breath of life.
Uh-huh.
And man became a living soul.
Now, skip down to, well, no, go ahead on and read.
And the Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden.
Uh-huh.
And there he put the man whom he had formed.
Go ahead and read.
And out of the ground made the Lord God to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight,
uh-huh,
and good for food.
Go ahead and read.
The tree of life also in the midst of the garden,
uh-huh,
and the tree of knowledge of good and evil.
Now this tree of life, that really represented Jesus and his words. And that tree of the knowledge of good and evil, that really represented Satan.
That's right.
Now, skip down to verse 15. Go ahead and read.
And the Lord God took the man and put him in the garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it.
Go ahead and read.
And the Lord God commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat,
uh-huh,
but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it.
Go ahead and read.
For in the day that thou eatest thereof thou shalt surely die.
Now he told him, he said, in the day that you eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, you shall surely die. Right. Let's go over to Genesis chapter 5, and we're going to pick it up at verse 3. And I'm going to show you how long Adam lived. Because sometimes when the Lord talk about a day, he ain't talking about a 24-hour day.
That's right.
Genesis chapter 5, and we're going to pick it up at verse 3. 5 and 3. Because he told him, in the day that you eat of that tree, that is the day that you are going to die. Show you how long Adam lived. Start reading at 5 and 3. Go ahead and read.
And Adam lived 130 years.
Uh-huh.
And begot a son in his own likeness.
Well, he done lived long past the 24-hour day, ain't he? Right. He done lived 130 years so far here. Go ahead and read on.
After his image,
uh-huh,
and called his name Seth.
Go ahead and read.
And the days of Adam after he had begotten Seth were 800 years.
Uh-huh.
And he begot sons and daughters.
Go ahead and read.
And all the days that Adam lived were 930 years,
uh-huh,
and he died.
Now, 930 years, and then he died. But he told him, in the day that you eat of that tree,